Welcome to Excel Tips and tip number 5. In this tip we will be looking at data validation. It's slightly different layout in 2010 and 7 compared to 2003, but we'll walk you through that all the same. So in this session of data validation we're going to look at data validation lists and how to create them. So I've just created a couple of options here on the left hand side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the format of this cell so we know what cell has the data validation in it. So I'll select the purple cell. Now, if we go along, you'll see we go to the data menu, and it's the same in Excel 2003. It's in the data menu. And in Excel 2003, you're looking for the option of validation, I believe, whereas in here it's data validation and then data validation again. You'll see there's a number of options here. Any value, whole number, decimal, list, date, time, text length, and custom. Each of these will have their own parameters of minimum and maximum, date, start date, end date, and that's what the data input into the cell will be validated by. For a list though, we have a source, and for this source we're going to select what it is on the page. Now it's important to note, if you want to use a list from a different page, you actually have to use a named range in 2003. I don't know if that's been fixed in 2007 and 10, because since 2003 I've always been using name ranges for data validation. But for the purpose of this, we'll say that it hasn't, and you should use a name range for that. However, in this case, I'm using the drop down on the same page, and I'm happy to use just the standard referencing. So I've selected my source, which is B4 through to B9, options 1 through to 6. Now, there's two components to data validation. There's the input message and the error. So the input message is something that we will see if you've selected the cell, and hence this is ticked. Show input message when cell is selected. So I'm going to give it the title of drop down selector, and please select from the options below. Now as an error, there's three types: stop, warning, and information. Warning and information essentially just alert the user if an error has been made during the data validation process. Stop will actually stop them from inputting data. So let's keep it as stopped, which is the default, and put a message in title. So invalid input. You must select from the drop menu. Double D. Thinking faster than typing. So now I hit OK, and you can see when I select the error, it says drop down selector, please select from the options below, which is what I set up. And then you can see the list 1 through to 6 based on these numbers here. If I actually change, let's say this one goes to 7, it will automatically update to 7 as well. The other thing which we have to note is if I change this to 1, if I try to change this now to 1, it will say invalid input, you must select from the drop menu. So it validates that the data being selected is correct against the options provided. The one trick to this is if you actually change something which is already selected, it won't pick it up until the next time that you go re-enter it, at which stage you'll have to retry. That's all for data validation. Do have a good try of it, because it is a fantastic function that Excel has, and it is very much underused. You'll find that it's very, very useful in models, especially some of those other data validation types that we haven't explored today. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now.